remember the cop who decided to still put an attack dog, a canine cop dog, on an unarmed, complying individual? That cop has been fired. That cop should be charged. Let me remind you of what happened. Here it is.
That's a dog. Come to me. You don't want bit. On the ground. You're going to get bit. Come to me, man. Let's leave.
Do not let them, don't release the dog. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not. Get the dog off of me. Get the dog off of me.
Get the dog. Have the dog now. Let the cab. Let the cab. Let the cab. Get your dog. What do you mean? I gave you 3 warnings. Did I not? Just 4 of those, right? Did I not say it? Did I not say call a warning? You know it all.
Next available rollback. Left front tire on the.
What? All right, put it up. Now, I want to remind everyone, the officer who has command is the one who says, don't do this, don't release the dog with his hands up, meaning he is in compliance. He's in compliance. It also means that some would deem that action to be illegal. I certainly deem it to be illegal. We reported on this from day one. We have been giving you the updates as they develop. Ryan Speakman, the Circleville, Ohio police officer who was seen on video releasing a canine on an unarmed black truck driver, has been fired, according to a statement from the department. Now, I want to remind everybody, it is not the city who responded to the initial traffic stop. You have the state patrol or state troopers. They called in for backup because the truck did not immediately stop. So when they call in for backup, that backup goes to the local jurisdiction of the town that you are either going through then or about to go through in a few minutes. The local jurisdiction, they get involved. The local jurisdiction, they understand command. The person saying don't do this, once again, has command and jurisdictional authority. It was ignored. It was almost as if, let's put them back up. It was almost as if Officer Ryan Speakman said, I've brought out this canine and I'm going to use this canine no matter what. That's what it seemed like. Mayor Don McKilroy on Monday told CNN Speakman had been placed on paid administrative leave prior to his termination. We read it. Department said Circleville police officer Ryan Speakman's actions during the review of his canine apprehension of suspect Jadarius Rose on July 4th show that Officer Speakman did not meet the standards and expectations we hold for our police officers. Officer Speakman has been terminated from the department effective immediately. As you recall, the 23-year-old Mr. Rose was bitten by the canine on July 4th. Put him up. Now, let me remind everyone that initially the officer was defended. They defended the cop for his actions, talking about the local jurisdiction did. This was following a lengthy vehicle pursuit that began when officers pulled over his commercial semi-truck due to police alleging he failed to stop for an inspection because of a missing mud flap. During the police chase, Mr. Rose called 911 and told dispatchers officers were trying to kill him and he did not feel safe. pulling over the truck. Rose repeatedly told the dispatcher he was confused about why he was being pulled over and why police had their guns drawn after he briefly stopped the truck before driving away. Now, when Sharon Reed and I talked about this story, Sharon said something quite interesting and actually normative. Sharon said, listen, I've been driving in a large vehicle before with music on or headphones on, and I did not hear or could not hear anyone behind me beep the horn or use sirens. Now, obviously, it's not the best way to drive. I've done it before myself. But there's a reasonable explanation, possibly. We do know that he was not charged with anything else. We do know that it made no sense that he was running. And we do know now that he actually called 911 and said, listen, I don't know why all these cops are following me, but it's a whole lot of them. And you got to think about the context here. He is seeing multiple jurisdictions. It's not just one cop behind him by the time he realizes what's happening. He sees probably 2 or 3 different jurisdictions following him at the same time, and he's in a rural area. He calls 911. He's afraid. There's more. The police department's investigation into the incident included a determination by a use of force review board that actually determined the agency's policy for the use of canines was followed in the apprehension and arrest of Mr. Rose, according to a statement from the agency. So you see, they actually supported him. And in an irony, the police chief or the department, by way of the police chief, decided to override this particular review board and say no. Regardless of what your findings suggest, this man did not meet the qualifications and standards of this department. There's more. The department's statement added, it's important to understand that the review board is charged only with determining whether an employee's actions in the use of force incident were within department policies and procedures. The review board does not have the authority to recommend any discipline. Shallow Creek Canals, the Pennsylvania-based facility that trained the K-9 involved in the incident, said their training and protocols were followed, police said. Speakman is later then in the video speaking with a state trooper about the incident. I think it's a justifiable bite, he says. The Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association filed a grievance on behalf of Officer Speakman, saying Speakman was fired without just cause. The union asked the department to rescind the termination, pay and reimburse the officer for all lost wages, seniority and benefits lost, resulting from his firing, expunge his employee record of his termination history, and or any further relief necessary to make the grievance whole. Look at that. They said, okay, the man puts a K-9 on an innocent, complying individual who did not deserve to be apprehended in such a manner. He violated command on the scene in order to do so. His department says he violated exacting policy of this department. Who has his back? The unions have his back. Police unions say, oh, no problem. The place that trained the K-9, they got his back. Why? Because cats like him are good for business. There's more. Let me give you a recap of the status of Mr. Rose, who was bitten by this K-9. Rose was treated, was eventually released from the hospital before being taken to the county jail, according to a case report from Ohio State Highway Patrol, which notes he faced a charge of failure to comply with an order or a signal by a police officer. A 4th-degree felony. Now, many jurisdictions have upgraded 4th-degree felonies and made some of those misdemeanors now. He was released from custody July 7th. The county prosecutor's office told CNN, adding the office is still collecting evidence before it determines whether to move forward and charge him or not charge him. At the end of the day, I don't care what charge you give it, it was a traffic stop. It's a failure to pull over. Failure to pull over. It could be a perfectly reasonable explanation as to why he was confused about what was happening. But everyone should agree he did not deserve to be bitten by a canine while on his knees and his hands in the air. Jackson, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you pointed it out just right. The reason that the dog was released is because, well, I brought it, so I might as well do what I came here to do. It's really not any more complicated than that. And, two, when it comes to police dogs and canines like that, you would think that they should only be used like if the suspect is on foot very far away, maybe in difficult terrain, and you have to catch them and they're very dangerous. Obviously, maybe carrying weapons or carrying something that's of danger to the community around them. Otherwise, he was surrounded. There were multiple police officers from multiple jurisdictions, like you pointed out. And at the end of the day, when these types of situations go down, it's always surrounded over the police state defending its authority. That's all it's ever about. We have the right to be above the law, because if they're not above the law, then they won't be able to get away with all of the egregious things that happen continuously. So at the end of the day, he got bit because that's what the dog came there to do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
We shall see if charges are filed against the cop. We're talking about charges against the brother. He's the individual who should not have been victimized. There's only one victim here, possibly two. Obviously, the man who was bitten by the dog and the horrific training given to the dog. The dog may be a victim as well.